Everything else is wonderful, though. It is 32-inch screen.
Oh.
32 screens.
It's 32
This screen's got 32 screens in it.
32-inch long screens.
I have to feel my way like a blind man in an orgy.
What a blind man cries.
You heard me.
Blind people can have orgies too, Matt.
I mean, it was just... I wasn't expecting it, that's all right. Neither was he. I didn't see it coming.
What?
Wait a minute. This isn't the charity bun fair.
Why are there so
There are
many
buns.
hat racks in my house?
There are buns, though.
These hat racks are slightly floppy. Should they move on the wall like this?
What? Oh,
Where's my
God. I was
wall
about to say,
strip?
why are they on the wall? And then I realized what you were getting at.
Unintentionally.
Anyway, do you want to intro? Because I could...
Oh, I will. I will once John stops jazzing.
Once he starts.
That's interesting. Now.
Once he stops or starts jazzing.
I mean, when
I need to stop saying the word jazzing. It makes me feel
John never
weird.
truly stops jazzing.
You like jazz?
I'm gonna jazz all over you.
Like smooth?
That's why.
I'm gonna funnel my jazz right into your ear.
Hmm.
Hello. Welcome to this week's section.
That's staying in. That's staying in.
It's Fact Week.
We got it, first take.
Perfect. 12 out of 10.
That is a threat.
As always, Matt, leading the charge on fact-based knowledge and jazz-related indiscretions.
I'm-
As always,
I'm-
by John.
I'm the disgruntled private ready to shoot him in the back. Yes.
And of course, the two Toms are going to listen to me and John ramble on. Obviously, Corby,
We are the war cabinet.
the war cabinet, and Tom himself, the only Tom. There are no two Toms. He's one Tom and no Tom.
Only one Tom here. Quick, stay behind me. They can't see us both.
They're like T-Rex. They can't see us if we don't move.
I thought you meant we've got tiny arms.
The thing is, like, when you said war cabinet, I know exactly what you mean, but at the same point, I did also picture you as like a particularly violent armoire out of Beauty and the Beast. Just imagine that with Corby's face.
Oh my god.
Tom, you know what? You need to Photoshop me for this episode.
That is an image and a half. My god. Oh, well, I am bringing this week's hypothetical to the table. And it's one I thought a lot about. I think it's one that needs to be answered. If you guys were a food, what kind of food would you be? Based on the premise that you're going to be eaten.
I thought
Disappointing.
you were going to say fascist.
Nope. You are a fascist. What fascist would you be? I'd be a fascist guy.
I've always liked a good phalanges Poland. No, that's not. Right, food.
What food would you be based on the premise that you are?
So we're gonna be eaten no matter what.
Yeah. I would be
Who's
an
eating it?
incredibly bony fish, not just because of my name, but because I want to annoy the hell out of them when they try to prep me and then eat me.
You are indeed a choking hazard,
swallowed.
so...
You've never swallowed a fish bone, though. Man, does that hurt.
I was going to say, that's why.
I can concur. Yeah.
Well,
Well, I'd be a
Googling
puffer
food for a second, John.
There,
I was googling the thing. I think I was thinking of.
there's only a very small part of me that is edible, but once you get it, it must be delicious. Because why else would people go to all of that effort?
The
Oh, the
Japanese
rest of me
love
is
him.
So poisonous,
Oh, are you talking
venomous
fugu?
even.
Venomous.
Fugu,
Tom.
yes.
Tom is a puffer
Yeah.
fish.
It's all about the risk, Tom. Some people live for mountain biking down the sides of hills. Other people want to eat the most venomous animal on the planet.
Yeah. Also, being a pufferfish, I do get to experience life as a pufferfish before I am caught and eaten, and I think that'd be all right.
No,
You
no,
say
no, you
describe
only-
feeling
along, then I'd get scared and turn into a bowling ball. Then I'd
You only become
Be on my
sentient
way.
after you become after you're dead and become like sustenance. That's it.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
how it works.
Yeah, so he doesn't know he's a pufferfish until he's been killed.
Yeah.
Turned into one of those lights
Yeah.
as well with the rest of
Oh
him.
god, I missed out on so much expanded, deflated. This is awful.
I'm trying to think.
It's hard, isn't it?
Unlike the food, I would probably be.
A wet blancmange. As opposed to dry.
Got to be wet.
I don't know actually what a blancmange is. I just remember someone calling me I'm a blancmange when I was in primary
I
school.
think a blancmange is like a cake.
Who called you that? A very well-educated someone who
always used to address us, just say, "Oh, you were all a bunch of blancmanges today because we weren't paying attention." Do you remember?
Oh yeah, I remember that. That was a French teacher, I think.
I thought it was one of the science teachers.
Is that how you spell that? Blancmange?
Well,
blancmange?
That is the weirdest.
Blancmange.
That is not the spelling I expected. Okay, it's like a jelly kind of cake thing.
What's that? What's that?
Oh, here we
There's,
go. Yeah, I thought it's what this meant. Blancmange in Urban Dictionary. 1, a boring or rather uninteresting person.
I mean,
Yep.
there's a.
I'm sorry, Corby. You're
I
definitely.
feel
not
like there's a. Looking at this, there's a dessert very similar to it that they serve a lot in Italy, and I can't remember what it is, but it looks like this. I had it once and it was terrible.
Is it panna cotta? That's come up in the people also search for tab. Oh, there's a
No.
band called Blancmange. Let's see what.
Those who really know about.
Let's see what the pop band Blancmange are up to.
Oh
An
God, is
English
that actually a band?
band formed in
down a
Harrow,
good rabbit
London in
hole.
1979.
Huh. I don't know why this is a thing, but apparently there's a list of like 8 world's most dangerous foods. Because I was looking up because obviously fugu, and for some reason number 6 is rhubarb.
What they do is it?
Oh no, apparently the leaves in rhubarb are.
Well, it's like potato leaves are poisonous as well.
Oh, and elderberries.
I know.
Really?
I thought elderberries were, but
I mean, I guess if you a wine is a poison if you drink it enough.
Yeah, anything's a poison if you have enough of it.
I don't know.
Yeah,
what this is.
Technically water, but you'd have to drink a couple bathtubs of.
You can drown yourself.
You would probably drown before
Oh.
you poisoned yourself.
Let's see. Probably just, I don't know, just a live scorpion that someone would try to eat. I guess that's the food I'd be.
One of the I'm a Celebrity challenges.
Yeah. Well, it's either that
Moment
or
in-
surf,
Favorite food, a live
in their mouth.
scorpion.
Fathom.
it's either that or surströmming, and this is more characters. So yeah,
Uh,
surströmming is that shark that they just bury for a
Yeah.
couple of weeks, so then I think it's fun to eat.
It's a right laugh. Corby,
Yeah.
you're the only one left.
I know. I'm just trying to think. Probably.
Let me pad you some time by listing out the singles of the UK band Blancmange.
UK.
God's Kitchen.
They're a band from our country.
Oh, I
Feel me? That's love, that it is.
I do love that image of that. So I just found this on Google looking at food, and I love the image of that the girl who tried to eat that octopus, and it just said no and basically bit her face.
Oh yeah.
I'll put it in the Discord in case people don't know what the hell I'm on about. But just need to find it now.
I'm looking at this and I'm like, probably ramen. It's sufficiently associated with the Japanese, and I'm probably better off eating with like 6 other things on top of me.
Yeah, so boring unless associated with the other stuff. All right. Yeah, that
Yes.
Was she trying to eat a live octopus?
she was, and it said "fuck you" and bit her
Yeah,
face.
I'm not surprised. It's
Which I
alive.
was like, yeah, good for it.
Oh my god, the way it's attached to the skin around the eyes. I don't like it.
Oh no, she just had like a nasty bite wound on her face. It didn't do anything to her eyes. So
Is that
Look,
the
the eyes
skin?
are a place that shouldn't go.
Is that the skin stretching, or are they the suction cups on the octopus?
that's the skin stretching.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
There's a lot of skin around the eyes, Tom. You can use it to fold up in front of them and pretend you're blind.
I mean, it's
Or
alright.
racist.
The fact Tom is trying to do that.
I'm testing the elasticity of my own eyelids. Being 24 and not yet sick of the world, they haven't sank as much as most people's have. So
I
Like
swear we knew
mine.
someone with extra stretchy skin, but I can't remember who.
it ain't me.
Anyway.
Anyway,
I'm just going to put another image in the Discord chat so that goes up and we don't have to look at it.
thank you.
Can we get another picture of that Wilford Brimley lookalike from last week?
No, you're getting the tsundere shark
Oh.
again.
No, you're getting Cage Bear.
But the bear is not the one in the cage.
Oh, I love that. That was hilarious. I think I want to say it was part of a bloody game show thing. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Right.
Netflix's new film, The Cube, looks very exciting.
The Cube, except the Cube also is a bear.
The Cube itself is a
It's a bear just trying to roll a d6.
Square bear, come into this orchid.
Speaking of bears, I've no idea if this relates, John, but take it away.
It doesn't.
Ah,
Right.
royals.
Right. Now, before last fact versus fiction, I gave these guys an option. Like, right, I'm either going to do an event from around the 1920s, which turned out to be the Boston molasses flood, or a person, or a very interesting person in the 1920s, who I based one of my Call of Cthulhu NPCs off of.
Oh no!
At least in mannerisms, if not actuality.
No!
I'm going to tell you today the tale of Johnny Broderick, the one-man riot squad of New York.
Oh God!
Johnny Broderick. That's
Johnny
what that's meant.
Bravo! Not Johnny Bravo. Johnny
Johnny
Banks.
Bravo.
Oh, mama!
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a weird season when Johnny Bravo was doing crime in New York
In
the
the
20s.
Well, he
Yeah.
wasn't doing crime.
Really?
He was apparently stopping it. Apparently.
Just for the record, like mine in terms of report, mine and John's are in wildly different directions. Does something very
Is yours
different.
on Johnny Bravo by any chance?
No, it's not on Johnny Bravo.
That's fine.
Also,
Anyway.
unrelated, but John unintentionally just made his version of Johnny in Call of Cthulhu definitely a JoJo.
Yeah.
God. You did.
Oh God, what's this guy's name?
Jojo Bianchi.
I forgot I can't remember what the one in our Call of Cthulhu game was.
Johnny
but-
Bianchi was the one
I
that
just
Dawney
looked
made.
up his nicknames. Other than the one-man riot squad, which he earned over a lifetime of just basically beating the ever-loving shit out of criminals. Other than that, his also other names were Broadway Johnny and the Boff. BOFF.
Many boffs died to bring us this information.
Right. Okay.
Broadway
right.
Johnny, so he's into show tunes, I imagine.
He's a big fan of Hamilton.
in Chicago.
But, yeah. Basically,
Only those two.
There's no other Broadways at this time.
but yeah, he was very famous in the 1920s and 30s, basically. Anyway, to start off, he was born in 1896, and like in a really impoverished part of New York, part of Manhattan, called the Gas House District at the time, because it was just it got nicknamed that because they just literally built dozens of gas storage tanks around this neighborhood.
Were they safer
which-
than the molasses storage
Oh,
tank?
gonna say,
I mean,
what he's saying.
No, they did leak, and the problem is they made their
This time there were no children with lollipop sticks coming to get the gas.
gas flavor. My
Quickly
favorite.
wrap the gas around my stick. Catch it in cans.
That's a great mental image.
It was one of those things. Crime was endemic in the districts. There was because the gas sticks made the whole place undesirable to live in anyway. And then there was also the gas house gang and people who just hang around. It's just
Did they distribute gas to houses or steal it?
Both.
Open up, we're here to steal all your gas.
Well, the thing is, they were odd because they specialised in armed robbery and as well as operating brothels. So they had a real niche area of
feel
we
that.
rob people and we operate brothels. That's what we do.
Those could go hand in hand, I guess.
But literally, yeah, they until they stuck around until 1910. They were there was a thing, a statistic where they estimated to commit between 30 and 40 robberies a night. That's individual people, not banks and
Damn.
stuff, obviously. But yeah, not good.
As in muggings or...
It's just armed robbery, so I assume that'll break into people's houses to determine. Anyway,
Yes.
Robin with weaponry. Anyway, so he
Is
grew
it
up,
bad that I thought
in
you
a
meant
very
there was a
ordinary-
person called Robin and not
Yeah.
Robin?
Probably. Yeah. It was
Tim
pretty
Drake
bad
in his rebellious phase.
Yeah.
Oh,
Sorry.
it was pretty bad for a good long while because the police captain that originally was in charge of the area basically just went, they're just beating up people up. We'll beat them up, and so it was basically just warfare between cops and gangsters.
Gang warfare, only one of them was employed by the state.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
the guy was called Alexander S. Williams. He was police captain, and he's got a quote from the time that says, there is more law at the end of a policeman's nightstick than in a decision of the Supreme Court. So,
Not much different from modern day America.
let's not comment. Don't say shots fired. They literally shot someone the other day.
Oh fuck!
7 times in the back. Anyway,
I was gonna say the concerning thing is John can say that, and it could still be topical when this podcast comes out.
it really could be, and the details about it could just anyway. It doesn't matter. But yes. Anyway, he was born on that particular in that particular period, 1896. Grew up very, very poor. He basically he quit school at age 12 because his father died. So he quit school just so he could go earn money driving trucks. Now don't ask me why a 12-year-old was allowed to drive trucks around New York. But
I'm more concerned.
Anyway,
He was very big. He thought he was a grown man.
You say this was 1910s-ish, John, or?
He was born in 1896, so he'd probably be 1910s. Yeah, 1908. 1908, yeah.
Well, no, because the
trucks.
Ford Model T only came out. It was only made in like 1905, wasn't it? Or like
Yeah, there were cars before that. That was the first mass-produced car.
oh, okay.
Right. The first cars I think
You
were
look
German.
so angry.
Jesus.
How dare you get this car fact wrong?
I can't believe you don't know truck history.
Bloody dare you.
I am a man of trucks and cars, and you've got it wrong, you bastard.
I really am not. I'm crap at cars and trucks, but people just think I'm good at this. Anyway, but yeah, no, he basically, he drove a brick truck and then a coal truck. So just between jobs. He then World War One rolled around, and he enrolled in the U.S. Navy. Which is quite funny.
So-
I've just been to Google and I've just done a
God.
quick search. So the legal age requirements for driving back in the 1910s, 20s, it varied from where you are, but it was as young as 14.
Oh god.
It was
fine.
14 in California, and then it varied from 14 to 18.
Yeah, but it's going to be the kind of thing like sign up for the army. You're going to turn up for work and
Yeah,
he's
they'll
like,
just lie about
all
that
right, how old are you, kid? 14? Yeah, whatever, get in the truck. Yeah. It's going to be that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Um,
Although they did
yeah.
start handing out licenses in 1901, so...
Yes. Oh, fair enough. But he joined the Navy for the part of World War One. He did actually it's the first time he ever actually took part in a pugilistic bout. Actually, the first ever time he'd actually been in a ring. As last time, I think. And all of his rest of violence was just on the streets. And the funny thing is, despite having this reputation that we'll get into later on, he was knocked out in the first round by an unknown seaman. So
look,
I
you gotta learn the hard way.
I bet that guy just lived off that story for the rest of his life. Like,
The only
it's like,
man to have knocked down
Johnny Broderick.
Broderick.
Basically, at the end of World War One, he hadn't. It doesn't say what he actually did in World War One. We don't actually know that much. We know he got knocked the hell out. But that's
Only important thing.
So far, I'm picturing.
He drove trucks and got knocked out.
So far, I'm
the war
picturing
would've
what
been
is what is going to turn into like a Captain America-esque story.
maybe, yeah. At the end of World War One, he'd made connections. He'd already made connections driving coal trucks up until World War One. So he managed to secure a job in the Teamsters Union, because this is the that part of history where the unions are starting to get really heavily embroiled in the mob. But
unions totally legal. It's
he's
fine.
a union man. He came to the attention of the labour leader of that unit, Samuel Gompers, which is a great name.
Mr.
Yeah,
Gompers.
ERS.
It's me, Gump.
Old Gompers.
Samuel Gompers.
I got news from Gumpers. He's got another hit for you.
To be fair, it probably sounds worse when we say it without the American accent. Mr. Gompers.
Mr. Gumpers.
Samuel Gompers. But he
Going down for a drink with Gompers. Do you want to come?
at this point, he was. To be fair, he was 5'10" and about 170 pounds. So he's not a massive guy. He's about
literally
average.
my height.
He's, as I say, he'll be a touch,
Is that
like
tall?
half an inch above my height.
Is that
And
tall for the 1920s? Because
I don't think
people
particularly.
are fairly taller now than they were compared to then.
It's not particularly. That's the thing.
I hate this. I googled average height in like the 1920s. And the first article at the top of the thing was, how tall would you have been 100 years ago? And I'm like, fuck.
Yeah. He literally was born like I didn't recall what month John said, but he's 100 years before I was born, which is just.
I think he said 1896. Yeah.
Yeah, but I didn't get the month.
Oh yeah.
But it's
Still
just
literally
weird to
100
think that it
years
was 20. It's been
ago.
20 years since 2000, which is.
What you were going to say? It's been 20 years since 1896.
It's been 20 years. I'm really slow on the aging process. There's been a lot of leap years, and obviously I only age on the
that's
leap
the thing.
year.
You've got to factor in the leap years.
Exactly, and
They throw off all the maths.
I live 4 times as long as the average human, or however often a leap year comes.
Men's
Maybe.
average height is up 11 centimeters since the 1870s, is on
Whoa.
BBC News.
That is the kind of juicy facts I love to sink my teeth into.
I love how it's like
Almost as much as I
1896
like
to
cherry
19...
chocolate orange. Quickly, guys, spiel off some sponsorship. Make some shit up.
I found a solid answer about the height thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so extrapolating from this graph that BBC News have, where they said the men's average height has increased, and then there's a graph.
Is that in UK or America though?
That is BBC, but I don't know if it's like average UK or like in general or whatever. I don't know.
We'll accept it as truth.
Okay, so the born in 1896 to 1900, they are just below 170. So of course I put it in as 169.
Hey.
Hey.
And that in feet is 5'5".
Ah, slightly taller than average.
What? No, he's 170 pounds.
No, but we're talking
But
about height.
Yeah, he said 170. That's why I was confused.
centimeters is. Yeah, 169 centimeters.
We had to measure them in centimeters for some fucking reason.
Oh, that's annoying.
So he's
Yeah,
slightly
he's-
above average.
He's 5'10". Well, I'm looking at a picture of him, and there's people taller than him in the picture. So
I mean,
that's why-
it's like
All the
generics.
big men joined the Navy.
The Navy love big men. It's their
If there's one thing I know about the Navy,
It's
they
their
love
MO.
big men.
big juicy seam.
That's staying in. That's also going on the soundboard when it gets developed.
It is. We'll take a weekend. We'll sort that at some point, Corby.
Obviously, I
Anyway.
won't be allowed in for that.
No. Well,
Makes it sound like
it's
you're going
for
to do
you,
it in a
Matt.
shed. Like
it's for you.
it's for me, so I can.
Yes.
voice
For
my
you,
opinion
by
of
you.
pre-recorded sounds for Matt by Matt.
It's basically so you don't have to turn up to these podcasts anymore.
You're creating essentially an AI version of me that just says stupid shit.
Call it an AI is not is unfair. At best, it's like
It's
Angry
A.
Birds that just taps the keyboard. Do you know what I mean? It's
It's A at most.
It's artificial. It's not smart.
anyway. Yes. He came to Peninsula. Samuel Gompers, who hired him as a bodyguard after hearing that he was quite. He basically brought out a couple of punch-ups outside of the ring and seemed to have done quite well in them. So he heard about it and said, okay, yeah, we'll get him as my personal bodyguard. Great. Also, his name's Johnny Broderick. That's a fantastic Union man name. Right. He basically carried on as Samuel Gompers' bodyguard for like the next couple of years until 1922. At that point, he got tired of it, tired of just the nonsense. He thought, you know what's more interesting? I'll go be a fireman. Firefighter.
That is arguably more interesting.
It is.
Yeah.
Always
Yeah.
something going
More
on.
fire.
Also, arguably more dangerous, yes.
Yeah, he literally, yeah, he passed the physical exam with flying colours. Absolutely smashed it. But he soon became disillusioned with the nature of the work. He described the whole thing as boring. Being a firefighter.
Fire's boring.
Yes. So he quit the fire department and in 1923 enlisted as a police officer.
He's doing it
Ironic-
around.
Yes, he is. Because he thought that'd be more exciting. That's the thing I want to grow. That's the thing I want to be. Ironically, pretty much the first thing he did, like hours into his first shift, was save 2 children from a burning building. it's like
He was a better police- he was a better fireman as a police.
I'd stayed one more day in the fire department.
I get what he means though, because I imagine like he joined the fire brigade thinking like he's gonna be fighting fires every day. Nah, fam.
Yeah.
Get that cat, mate.
But it's like Sod's law that the moment he leaves the fire department, that something exciting happens. Terrible, but exciting.
Yeah, but I'll send this picture of him where he's not like he's. I guess Americans might have been slightly taller than average, like than most people back then. They still are, to be fair. But he isn't exactly the biggest man in the picture. He's the fourth along in the flat in the.
It's a very stretched picture.
The only one in the flat cap.
These are wide men.
He's pretty sick.
That might be the thing. That might be the stretch in the photo, Tom. I don't think they're that wide.
Yeah, they got the arrow pointer.
There you go. That's the one.
He does look like kind of like he looks like the kind of grandpa that would punch you if you fucked him up.
Oh god, that's stretched the other way. Oh no, that's actually right.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. I thought the
Just
man
make
on the
it
right was holding a particularly long-barreled gun.
He genuinely looks like he could be a member of the Peaky Blinders.
Yeah, but he is.
He does.
He's got a face made for taking a punch, which is interesting. Looks like it.
It does look
Anyway.
like an extra out of Last of the Summer Wine.
Like someone animated a bulldog. But anyway, yeah. So he joined the NYPD. Obviously, that happened his first shift. There was a lot of weird heroics that happened in his first thing, and like within 3 months after joining the NYPD, he got promoted from beat cop to detective. There's three grades of detective back then. I'm not sure if there still is now, but 3 grades. He already made the first grade, which is almost unheard of.
Traffic.
Yeah.
Then he went to homicide, then vice.
Fuck off.
That's how it goes. Straight from traffic into homicide.
Get back in
That's the
there and get me a
progression.
confession, folks. Anyway.
Not now, Phelps.
Doubt.
Dun, 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 dun.
You bleep young boys, Valdez? No.
Beg your pardon.
So anyway, after that, he got promoted again quite soon afterwards, detective 2nd grade, and then the year after that was promoted a final time to detective 1st grade in 1926.
What was he doing to be promoted so fast? He was very good at his job, or
he was very earnest at his job, and there's also a thing that, well, he did used to be a union man. He might have had a fair bit of influence. That's the thing.
Was he
I was just picturing he was like
He's just got
magically
friends that
attracted to places where crimes are happening, like Shazam.
But to put this in perspective, like in 3 years, he's earned promotions that most people take their lifetimes of course to get to.
Basically, got people who could pull the strings.
Yeah, partly. No, this is not to put him down as a cop. He was a very earnest cop. Too earnest, some people might say. Because it's the kind of thing that people were like. There was rumors of backroom deals and connections and stuff like that because of his time as a union man. But people of the time absolutely loved him because he basically got this reputation of if he didn't like a particular criminal, he would just beat the shit out of them in the street. he would just have a go at them. And newspapers love this because like in a time where this is early mid-20s to 30s.
The roaring 20s.
Great Depression.
The mob was
Everybody
running
was doing
rampant.
line impressions.
Yeah, the mob was running rampant. The criminals everywhere. No one's doing anything. And here's this guy just beating up mobsters in the street.
Is he?
Of course, you're gonna love him.
He is quite literally a legal Batman.
Yeah.
Cue Tom's impression from last week.
Yeah, he
Why
pretty
don't we
much.
beat up mobsters mastermind?
Because I'm bored, Alfred.
I'm half convinced it's just a grudge from losing that one fight. But
Every day he was looking for that one sailor.
he was put in charge of the industrial squad, which is a plainclothes unit, which was made in 1917 to monitor the labour movement, to keep an eye on the unions, to basically make sure there's no political radicals, communists, and racketeers in it, and to try and keep violence down during the strikes. He had very little patience with labour militants, according to a particular history of the NYPD, and he basically often just led the industrial squad in straight-up brawls with the fur workers union, which was led by communists, to be fair, and railroad workers, sergeants as well. And at some point in 1925, his nose was broken when when there was a riot in the with a strike. There was a strike in the garments district.
Oh no!
There was a striking garment workers. Anyway,
they were just running at them in the nightclothes.
Yeah. When
no trousers.
No trousers, just corsets and and bedclothes.
That's why I wasn't expecting it. Just like someone hung a sheet inside his brace and just punched him through it. No,
Well, that's
like
what it
dog when the
was.
sheet gets held up and they don't
He
know
was
where they've
pretending to be a ghost.
There's actually a Halloween riot that got really out of control.
never forget the mummy. Anyway, yeah, and in November 1926, Samuel got promoted to detective. I think, yeah, third grade, one of the highest graders. Yeah, first grade. Sorry, first grade highest. Yeah, detective first grade. That in the same year that happened, the industrial squad also was absorbed into it. The gangster squad, and Broderick was in command of all of it basically. And here's a bit. Well, commander of the industrial squad, Broderick received acclaim for his role in quelling an attempted prison break at the Tombs, which is a Manhattan prison. Because all the prisons back here had funky, cool
Why
names.
don't
There was
they
the
have
Tombs.
names? Not
like a
There
zombie
was
uprising.
Sing Sing prison. There was all these cool places.
There was the Rock, obviously Alcatraz.
But yeah,
We don't have cool prison names.
The Rock was Alcatraz.
no, we don't.
When you hear that there's a breakout at the Tombs, your mind might jump to the wrong conclusion.
The dead walk again.
Oh, for the love of... Not again.
Yeah.
Where's the Rock?
Anyway.
He's in Alcatraz. Damn it!
All right, let's go arrest the zombies.
Has the Rock actually been in any zombie movies?
It wouldn't surprise...
Yes.
It wouldn't surprise me.
He's got to have been at least one.
He's been in. I guess Doom is pretty close.
Yeah,
The Doom movie,
yeah.
which is not good, except like that one FPS action sequence at the end.
It's one of the. It's one of those movies that isn't fantastic, but well. Anyway, there was the Tombs prison in Manhattan. Basically, it was an attempted prison break. 3 prisoners: Jaime Amberg, Bobby Berg, unrelated, and Red McKenna, which is holy fuck, that's a great name. Red McKenna.
I want to know... I want to know more about Red McKenna.
Red McKenna.
Anyway, they basically in the middle of the prison break, they killed a guard and the warden, and ended up trapped behind a coal pile.
Damn.
Broderick arrived with his boys. Rather than basically duck for cover as the rest of the police did, he grabbed a metal garbage can as a shield and just ran at them.
Oh damn!
And the news reports at the time basically said, okay, they came out directly afterwards, basically said, oh, the criminals saw as Broderick come in and committed suicide instantly. It's not what happened, almost certainly. What most likely happened is when Broderick got close, he probably just started
with the can.
When Broderick got close, he probably just started firing, and then panicked, ran out, and was shot down by the rest of the police. And then he just said, "Yeah, they killed themselves." Yep.
Yeah, like as you can see, they shot themselves 8 times with a 6-barreled revolver. 6-barreled, 6 shot.
That's a wide fucking gun.
That game.
Wow.
That's a Doom weapon.
It is. God. Whose guns like that? Anyway.
There are actually 6-barreled guns. So
Yeah,
dumb.
he became very famous for just beating the hell out of people. And there was a trick that he used to use that if there was a particular mobsters that he didn't like, if there was like known criminals just walking around and they were pissing him off, he had a habit of just slapping them upside the head with a rolled up newspaper, as a kind of like, that doesn't sound too bad, does it? Except Broderick basically hid an iron bar or lead pipe inside the newspaper.
He wrapped it up a bar.
So he could clonk them in the street, and then like they just fall unconscious. And then if they tried to claim it in court, he just said, "I just gave him a light tap with the newspaper. What's the problem?" I don't know what the problem is.
Obviously faking it. Giant bloody mark on the back of the head.
Yeah, they just whacked him with a newspaper.
What can I say? The New York Times is tough stuff.
I mean, back in the
These broadsheets
20s,
are getting bigger and bigger.
back in the 20s, they couldn't prove it was him.
That's true. That's very true. Broadsheets are dangerous. You should always be careful when wielding them.
But yeah, it was there was some funny stuff like too. But there was one of the most famous things that he did was basically there was like a guy called there was a mobster at the time called Legs Diamond, which is once again a good name. Legs Diamond,
Oh
who
my
is
Legs Diamond.
Legs?
Because the thing
L
is,
E G S.
yes,
Okay, I was wanting to make sure I didn't mishear Lex.
no,
Oh,
legs
Diamond is also pretty good.
Lex Diamond's alright.
Lex Diamond sounds like a Bond villain.
It probably doesn't help
Legs
that there
Diamond
was.
sounds.
But yeah, but basically, Legs Diamond one night had enough of Broderick because Broderick was he was unafraid of any gangsters. He did a thing like if they threatened his life, he'd just drive over to their house and just start beating people up.
Just set it on fire.
I know where you live. I'm just gonna come.
I know where you live. I'm gonna kill you. I know where you live. I'll see you tomorrow.
No, there's. Literally, there was a thing. Legs Diamond that was out one night drinking with his cohorts and his gang and stuff like that. And he basically, after he just started calling Broderick every name under the sun, because obviously everyone's slightly pissed off. Every criminal's slightly pissed off at him in this world.
He's really a man.
Yeah,
So good.
he stated to everyone public that he was going to take Broderick for a ride tonight, right? Then
When he
Diamond and his
proposed.
yeah,
It was romantic on one of those.
They went to see cats, and then they went to the
went to
little
see
cliff that overlooks the town.
romantic about cats.
yeah. He said cats. Is that how Broderick's hurting people now? Jesus.
I mean, cats is.
I don't think cats
charged
was out then.
sexual
The
energy.
Broadway back in the day was probably all right, but if it was the film, if it was the 2019 film,
Oh god. Still not watched it. Don't particularly want to. But anyway,
We should get drunk and watch it. It will be
we
hilarious.
should. Anyway, so Diamond and his crew began to hunt Broderick to make good on the promise. And at this point, other lowlifes started to figure out what was going on. And they started following him. Weren't really joining in. They were just following along to see what was going to happen. Because let's face it, either way, this is going to be funny. Right. What happened about the problem is, unfortunately, Broderick heard about this from the grapevine, and while Legs Diamond was hunting Broderick began hunting Legs Diamond. So it's a big
I
plan.
mean, like, he put on like just a cap and started merging with the other guys in the crowd, and was just following the hind legs.
the whole time.
No, it's quite well documented what happened. Basically, Broderick ran in first. Newspapers later reported that he found him at the corner of 46th and Broadway. Broderick approached Diamond and Co. and said, "I understand you're looking to take me for a ride." At this point, Diamond's bodyguard ran away. He just ran. He just straight up legged it. The only sensible man in the
That's
story.
never a good sign.
Yeah.
When your bodyguard doesn't want any, that's
Entourage just hung him back. Just Legs Diamond and Broderick there. And Diamond tries to play this whole thing off. It's like he reportedly, according to the newspapers, obviously got to take a bit of what's it? Not a bit of salt. Yeah, take it with a pinch of salt. That's it. Yeah. And he said, listen, Johnny, can't you take a joke?" At which point, there's a couple of alternates here, but the most agreed upon version was what happened is Broderick punched him in the face and then dumped him headfirst into a nearby garbage can.
Oh my god, that is amazing.
And left him. Now, this sounds a bit jokey funny, but at the same point, it's actually more dangerous than you think. Because what's happened is a mob boss of the city has just been humiliated, and with all the lowlifes of the city watching on.
Oh shit.
Legs Diamond's life
He's
for the
done.
next several
He's
years
screwed.
was just awful. Because here we go. The mayor of New York, Jimmy Walker, credited this incident as ending Diamond's criminal career. Broderick as good as killed Diamond with that garbage can stunt. It finished him as a leader. Here's what happened to Diamond afterwards. He found himself the victim of several assassination attempts, often ended up in the hospital with bullet wounds because people thought, well, he's weak, we can just take his place. After an incident in late 31, he was in the hospital, police raided his house and found really strong evidence he'd been bootlegging. He was given a 4-year prison sentence, that he appealed it and somehow was let go. I don't know. I assume money behind the scenes. Unfortunately, this didn't work out for him because basically he wants another assassination attempt and they shot him in the head this time. So he died in December 31.
Yes.
Yes. But after several years of just humiliation and assassination attempts, they finally got him. Although the funny thing is, that last assassination attempt, the rumour was that the Democratic Party chairman Dan O'Connor was behind the hit, and it might have been even the police who helped carry it out.
Oh.
Yeah,
Ooh.
it's spicy in 20s and 30s. Anyway,
Well, I guess legs diamonds aren't forever.
That was awful. Although he probably was legless when he found Broderick.
He didn't have a legs to stand on.
I just love how he just like this weird cat and mouse game that ends in just a quick dump in the garbage can and he leaves.
I don't think it was cat and mouse. I can't not imagine Broderick just walking behind him for most of it. Just seeing what would happen.
I thought you meant walking behind him and suplexing him into the garbage can. Yeah, no, I know what you mean.
Pushed him
Anyway.
so he spun around and then he suplexed him into the can.
He punched him so hard that Legs suplexed himself into the garbage can.
Yeah.
That's called falling over, Matt.
Dramatically and with
The
style.
thing is, there is occasions in this thing where occasionally someone got the better of Broderick. He was beaten up a couple of times, but I think it's the kind of thing where the guy didn't have the best jaw for a fight, but god damn it, did he have a hook? It's the kind of thing that hits you're done. But just but there's yet another incident with equally cool named people. There was so all these tactics became basically his calling card for how to deal with people. There was his one was more widely reported exploits. 1931. So unfortunately, Legs Diamond has shot himself.
Poor old Legs.
Yeah.
Got
So
them
his Legs
wet
Diamond is.
under him.
Though he's probably in hospital at this point because he died in December. Anyway, Broderick boldly faced down two-gun Crowley, who have been trapped by.
He only had one gun at the time.
Two-gun Crowley, who, and this shows you how serious this was, had been trapped by several hundred policemen in an apartment.
400! Watch out, guys, he's got 2 6-shot guns. He can take 12 of them.
He's got 2 6-barrel guns, guys. Watch out.
How are we?
He can take 12 of us at once, 14 if we group up. But yeah, basically a big firefight erupted between the police and Crowley. Broderick arrived. Obviously, the police are pretty much hiding behind cars and stuff like that.
You're going to say hiding behind Broderick?
Well,
All
hiding
in
behind
single
cars
file.
and as well as the crowd. There's a crowd of about 15,000 people looking on, almost that.
Damn.
Because this is like. It's
What?
the
How do
1930s.
people stand there and
Come on,
watch
spectacle.
while a gunfight is going on and not be like, I might
It's
be
America.
shot?
It's boring.
Well, you gotta say something to Rob next door when you get home. You can't just talk about the weather all the time.
There's 2 words I'll never put together. It's America and boring.
Well, no, I mean like
Florida and California.
it's the 30s. There's not a massive amount to do. Great Depression, all that nonsense.
Drinking was illegal, so they had to switch to gunfighting.
That, to be fair, drinking is a
A less dangerous pursuit.
The only high I get is adrenaline now.
You can still go out for shots.
I'm getting high.
Hey!
Anyway, Broderick arrived. He literally just walked across the street to the door and knocked on it. And this is reportedly the following strange.
Oh.
Hey, they got you, Crowley. Why don't you give up, Crowley? You know me good enough, Johnny. You know the only way I'm gonna come out of here is shooting. The only way I'll come out of here is shooting. Broderick. You nutty. Tell you what I'll do. I'll go around the corner for 2 hours. If you ain't out by then, I'll come in and get you. And then he just left. And he left for a little while. And then later, after the police had fired an estimated 700 rounds at the building and lobbing tear gas in because they
How
apparently didn't have
big was
that much.
this building?
It was just a fucking apartment. Broderick can go around to the door and knocked it down. They found Crowley inside, injured, somehow not dead. He'd been shot 4 times, but he was injured. So
Damn!
He pointed his gun at Broderick, but Broderick, instead of getting out of the way, just walked up to him, saying, "Drop that gun, you runt, and keep your hands in the air." And then when he got close enough, he punched him in the face. Because that's Broderick.
Balls on him, my god.
By the way, I'm pretty sure every sentence I talk about Broderick, you could end it with, "and then he punched him in the face." It's pretty much that. That's what he does.
Tagline. It's like Aurelian kicking the shit out of everything all over again.
But yes. Anyway, there's. Yeah, so that was a pretty widely reported one, but there was some nonsense about it. There was this was a rumor. It's not 100% confirmed, but the thing is, he was very while he was a complete bastard to any bloke, he was very respectable to women. Would always offer to walk people home, stuff like that. If there was like some sort of case of someone beating up someone, he would kick the shit out of them. Anyway, I think there was one case which I'm struggling to find out now, but were basically here we go. Here's a mainstay of the New York newspapers. There was basically some hoodlums who had been bothering a woman, and he one by one he basically chucked them through a plate glass window nearby. And then
defenestrated them.
Yes, and then arrested them for destruction of property.
Sentenced
to 30 days in jail.
Oh, that's so good.
Ultimate fuck you.
Yeah, but it says one at a time, so it's just like, did the rest of them just wait?
Line up, boys.
It's
like-
worse if
like-
we run.
I'm gonna say it's like in a game where the enemies don't come at you one at a time.
Or any Hollywood film ever.
It says here he also disarmed a man who was robbing a crowded restaurant in Columbus Circle with 2 guns and a knife. Now I don't know how he's carrying all of this. Was the knife in his mouth? Did he have 2 guns? I don't know. But he had 2 guns and a
The
knife.
knife was on his belt.
Maybe.
He's got a hidden
One
wrist.
gun in one hand, knife in the other.
It's a wrist blade. He's got a wrist blade.
The knife was in the gun. It was he had a knife shooter.
Yeah, but yeah, he
The 1920s was mad for guns.
But he has such a reputation for toughness around Broadway and stuff like this now that people like Jack Dempsey, who was a famous heavyweight boxer at the time.
Yeah.
Don't you know? He said of him that he's the only man I wouldn't want to meet in a fight outside the ring and its rules. So it's just like, not outside, in the ring. Yeah, okay, maybe I'll be fine.
The ring is regulated.
He might
In the ring is Johnny's weakness.
Yeah, that's the thing. If
You can't win a fight inside the ring.
You put a ring around him and he's powerless.
Oh,
Quickly trap him in a circle.
that's his one weakness. Yeah, but it's on the Broadway beat. He get a reputation for violence. His fists are once described as huge lethal pistons that could beat a man's senses half a heartbeat, and actually became slang in the 30s and 20s. To Broderick, someone was to knock someone out with one punch.
Oh, you're famous when people start using your name as slang.
Yeah, he had to go to the hospital quite a lot, and like the thing is, occasionally he got beat up, but most of the time he went because he had broken knuckles, because obviously he hit people too hard. There's Two Gun Crowley. It's Francis Two Gun Crowley. Yeah, I'd probably go by Two Gun if my name's Francis too. Oh dear, he got executed the next year.
Oh well.
Oh well.
I feel like
he was.
I feel like that's just a terrible way to gloss over that fact. He
Yeah.
was executed.
Oof.
He had a great name, not a great career.
Did he have a great name? He had a great nickname.
Francis is a pretty good name.
I wouldn't
Crowley.
want. No offense to all the
Francis
Francis
Crowley,
out there, but I wouldn't want it.
Yeah.
To be fair,
He's an anti-Francis.
I am British
Are you
after
sure you're
all.
not confusing Francis with the French?
Oh yeah. Here's
Leave
yet,
that silent.
here's yet another tale of his nonsense. You know that whole traditional thing in the 20s or 30s car chases where there's like there's a car full of gangsters ahead, firing back at police. There's a car behind.
Yeah,
police,
the
just
car
firing back at
chase with
gangsters.
the car
Yes.
slash guns fight.
Right, yeah, that basic stereotype happened with Broderick. There was
Nice.
5 armed gangsters ahead, but he did something that was very un-Hollywood at all.
He punched the
basically-
car.
No.
He stopped it on his own.
I've
He
never
just
seen it
walked this down.
No, this might be the first time I've actually seen him, heard of him using a gun. He leant out of the car with his gun. Instead of firing at the occupants like everyone always does, he just shot at one of the tires, and the car flipped.
Oh my god, it's literally LA Noire.
Yeah, he was interesting, and like he started getting asked, like celebrities when they started coming to the city, started asking for him as being their bodyguard. So at a certain point, this actually culminated where Franklin Roosevelt, when he visited New York, personally asked for him as his bodyguard.
Wow.
So he was going around.
Damn.
So he was leading his protection detail when he attended the 1936 World
That's
Series.
great.
Also, requests were made by the Queen of Romania and the King of Belgium when they were in town.
Ah.
This isn't Leopold. This is the one after, I believe.
No, this isn't the hand fetish one.
No, this is not hand fetish. Hand fetish.
Hand
man.
fetish.
Hand fetish, man.
That's the Belgian way of saying it.
Anyway, the really.
I'm not
weird
sorry.
thing is- really weird thing is, he was, despite he was actually tended to be a really quite humble guy behind all this. Even though he was nationwide famous at the time, because newspapers loved him, ate it up, everyone loved him.
More than nationwide, he was world famous. Well,
yeah, I mean, obviously the Queen of technically, you think about it, Queen of Romania's turned up and gone, that one.
You just pick him out from a lineup.
Yeah. But he was a really kind of humble, down to earth guy. He pretty much never talked to the press about his stuff. The only time anyone got anything out of him was police reports. He didn't drink and he didn't smoke. He literally, his free time was just spent with his wife and at the gym. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
And he was really, really extreme on the no smoking, no drinking thing, because there's a tale told by one of his friends who owned a pub who was called Toots Shaw. Yeah, Toots, and then last
literally
name Shor. Yeah, Toots Shaw. I don't know who this man is. That's his name.
Horn.
But yeah, but this is obviously this is a friend of him, so we're not sure how legitimate this, but it sounds as it will happen. He basically called Brodder up because the actor Edward G. Robinson was in his establishment and wanted to meet him in person because Robinson had played Broderick in the 1936 movie Bullets or Ballots.
Oh, of course,
Yeah.
he was. It was a movie about him.
Yeah, I mean, he's still a cop at this time, isn't he? It's 1936. He's still out and pissing about, but they're making films about him. And he was quite upset. Apparently, he basically Broderick apparently told him, "Tell him I don't want to meet him. Tell him I ought to flatten him." And Shaw responded, "What's eating you? Robinson's a fine guy." To which Broderick said, "Yeah, suppose I'd let my kids go see that picture, and they had seen him playing the part of me, actually taking a drink and smoking a cigar." He was really furious about that, apparently. But yeah, and as said, he was very against violence against women. Anyone who had been harassing any kind of victims of domestic assault, occasionally just go and visit the former partners to teach them a lesson. Which, I mean, they probably ended up in hospital.
He spoke to them through the power of his hands.
And no, we don't mean sign language.
There's a puppet. Oh, fuck.
Or sock.
And then just decks them with the other hand.
Distracts them with shadow hands and then whacks them with the other one.
Oh no!
Let's talk about emotions. Wow.
Broderick's shadow puppets of demise.
An owl hand puppet.
Well, you never know.
Yeah, that's fair. Now, obviously, this career can't go all one way. Let's face it, he has beaten up pretty much everyone he's come into contact with.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was quite marred by controversy. Most people tend to ignore it simply because, abusing criminals and people in general wasn't unusual for police at this time. And, he was literally, it wouldn't be like until a couple of decades after he left the force that they would tend to go, maybe we should stop this, guys.
Yeah.
And they literally, I mean, when I say that, I mean literally for decades afterwards, they didn't give any training course for respecting people's civil rights or anything like that. That didn't turn up till at least, I think, 60s at least. Anyway, but yeah, so it's like the kind of thing where often criminals during this time, especially gangsters, mobsters, could literally do anything they want and pretty much get away with it. Yeah. So a lot of the police kind of, in certain ways, kind of thought, well, it's pretty much our duty to kick the shit out of them because no one else is doing anything. And then it just spiraled from there. Yeah. And as former Assistant Chief Inspector Walter Henning noted in 1966, they had rather be locked up than to meet Johnny. Anyway, but to be fair, now when I say that he wasn't that much worse than a lot of them, he was in certain aspects. Because he did take excessive force to a whole new level. One incident in 1937, the Supreme Court in New York had to step in, and they had to free a prisoner before his sentence was complete. Because they state in their ruling that Broderick had beat him so badly that he will be a cripple for life. I think this man has more than expiated his crime. And they also, because the police are bastards, they gave him no medical attention while in police custody. And Broderick had no repercussions for this because he was the people's champion and because he's the head of a squad of cops. So yeah. But yeah, so and the industrial squatters, when they were breaking up riots and stuff, were not gentle about it. Any kind of strikes. And there's several cases like that. and almost all of them, Broderick and his crew were cleared of all charges. There were no cases, no action was taken to investigate accusations. But when saying he was a humble man, he did walk around he did dress nicely. he was known to walk around wearing $1,000 suits, drove a Cadillac, and owned a luxurious apartment in Queens. He's somehow maintaining a $4,000 a year salary. Yeah, that's the
They're the unions.
Yeah. There's some money changing hands there.
And he had a lot of connections with the Democratic political machine, especially in New York, which, you have to know, back here, Democrats were not always the good guys they apparently are today. I mean, I still think a lot of them aren't today, that's just me.
I mean, that's just no one in politics is the good guy, really.
Exactly.
No, it's a complicated mess.
Because there's quotes here from people where it's basically like, here we are, a journalist, Francis James Westbrook Pegler, Jesus,
Again, with the names.
Yeah, 20s and 30s, man, it's great. Anyway, it's the kind of thing where, Broderick just beats up criminals in the street, fair enough. But he would also walk by known criminals, known to him, and just sometimes just ignore them. And just go on to the next guy and beat the shit out of that criminal instead. It's like, why was he picking and choosing?
Yeah.
It says here, there were many low characters in the city, notorious for their activity in the rackets, who walking right past Detective Broderick on the street and in the lobby of Madison Square Garden, whom he did not find any occasion to bounce around. Which is a great way of saying it, but...
So what, he didn't...
Right, these people...
It's a very euphemistic way.
He didn't have reason to, or he just didn't want to?
So, like, as John was saying earlier, he would walk past people with, like, that iron bar hidden in a newspaper and hit them.
Yeah.
Well, it seemed more like he's picking and choosing who he hits with it.
I was going to say, like,
is
is he smacking the people he knows he's got definitive evidence on, or...
No, it's more his literal picking and choosing.
No, it's like he will walk past
He's playing
occasional
favorites.
known criminals.
Criminals
So
that
it's
are known that he also knows.
There was the kind of thing where, like, seldom reprimanded for any actions, numerous complaints filed against him for assault and excessive force were largely swept under the rug. And there was quite a few lawsuits against him too, but most of the time they were typically thrown out by judges because the judges were either knew him and liked him, or just thought, he's cleaning up the city. He's a fuck. Look at that Broderick guy. He's cool. No.
He's gonna hurt me.
Case dismissed. No, not that. Genuinely because they just liked him. But yeah. And eventually, there are always limits to this kind of thing. And eventually, in 1934, he was demoted back to the rank of patrolman. Which is So it's like they kind of think that maybe the demotion was because the Democrats weren't like in full control of the city at this point, and so people thought, oh, he's too friendly with the Democrats, get him out of it. Kind of thing. But within a few years, he went right back up to detective again. But the problems didn't go away. He still kept on being Johnny Broderick, and while being badass number one, and the criminals called him the one-man riot squad. That's how he got the nickname.
Right, I was going to ask.
Yeah, which is a great, other than just swearing at him, obviously. But
the fact that the criminals nicknamed him that as well.
Yeah, that's cool, isn't it? Yeah, in 1947 he was just quietly retired from the police force. Because there was accusations he might have been in cahoots with gangsters at the time. Because there was the November of the year before, 1946, it was discovered he had accompanied an ex-convict called Ben Kay to a place called Hot Springs, Arkansas, where the pair met up with mobster Oni Madden for undisclosed reasons. Now, if you haven't heard the name Oni Madden before, that is the preeminent Irish gangster of the period. He was the definitive mobster.
Yeah.
I think his name was Oni Killer Madden or something like that, which is like, that.
Oni Killer? As in, like, the mythical creatures of Oni?
Yeah. Oni, no, Owney.
Oh, never mind.
And Madden like the game.
I got mildly excited.
Nah, he was just he was a little vicious bugger, to say the least. Anyway, but Broderick basically said there was nothing fishery about this because of course he associated with gangsters and other criminals to keep tabs on what was going on with the criminal underworld in New York. It was part of the job, blah blah blah. Yeah. But either way, it didn't look good in the police force.
It's a pretty convenient excuse.
Yeah,
it is. A lot of things. Yeah. Yeah,
No, officer,
he
I've got
actually-
to rob this bank so I can get in the mind of a bank robber, so I can stop a bank robbery later on.
Oh, I think he was kind of saying that. Oh, I had to meet up with them and know them just to get info on other ones, that kind of thing. But yeah, I don't get
Yeah,
you.
like, oh yeah,
yeah.
he's totally a snitch.
Hmm.
This high, almighty, powerful gangster, yeah.
Anyway, after that, 49, he made a bid for political office, actually. But the same reasons as why he's kicked out of the police force came to light, and that went right down the toilet. So nothing happened there. He sold his rights to his life story to Pictures for $75,000, which is about $750,000 today. Yeah, a script was made. It was called Broadway's One Man Riot Squad, and actors were hired, but they never actually got around to making a film based on his life due to budget concerns. He took the money and retired to a farm where he raised horses and dogs. He died in 66 at the age of 70, with newspapers across the nation hailing him as the toughest cop in the world. Which, to be fair, I mean,
Yeah,
Yeah?
I can't like.
not arguing that.
Oh, here we go. There's another Jack Dempsey quote. He often asked him to serve as bodyguard during fights Madison Square Gardens because he's friends with me. He said, well, once quotes to saying, "I'll fight Johnny any time in the ring with its rules, but I wouldn't fight him in an alley for $1 million." Just like, yeah, fair enough. So that's Johnny Broderick with the one-man riot squad.
Damn.
He was interesting fellow.
Hardcore. The definition of hardcore.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because he's like he's not a big man. You have to remember he was maybe half an inch taller than me and lighter than me. He's not massive. He's just a tough little bastard.
Just got
Well,
an
no,
insane hook on him.
Yeah. As I said,
It's that hook that
Imagine
he
if
keeps
you
up
were
his sleeve that he wakes
Just
out at the
really
last
hang a
second.
jacket on it.
but as I say, imagine you were that one Navy man who knocked him out in the first round.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
And you learn about it later on. It's like, I'm kind of cool.
Did I just get lucky, or?
And then he turns up with the iron bar. Oh no.
Oh, yeah, I think mine's going to be a fair bit shorter than yours, John. Turns out, not a whole lot on this topic. Not as bad as Charles de Gaulle.
Oh god.
Nothing can be as bad as Charles de Gaulle.
I like how you, I was going to say peaks, but that's the wrong word. You troughed at episode 3.
Trough episode 3. It can only go up.
Only up from here.
Whereas me and Tom peaked at episode 2, and we've only gone down ever since.
To be fair, peaky wise, I think there's been peaks and troughs for me in that. I mean, one of them was definitely a peak for me and a trough with him was the Panjanjam episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, where would he fit in our bloody? Is he a good guy? Is he a bad guy?
He's just a muscle.
Is he an anti-hero?
He's just a muscle. He's the hitman. He's the guy you call in when you need, oh guys, there's no way we can get through this. We need to call him in. You don't mean it. Yes.
We have an army. We've got a granary.
Right. Let's get started on my topic, which
Again
is
with your nonsense.
vastly different from John's. Goes in
1920s super
a
cop.
completely the opposite direction. I can start off with a question. Do you guys feel about dancing? Do you like dancing?
I like dancing.
Favorite dance?
The
tarantella.
mosh, I would say.
About that, when you says you like dancing, my brain went, I like dancing. I like trains.
I just had the B movie. Do you like jazz? No, that's the nonsense again.
Not talk about jazz.
Never.
But yes,
No,
I
fine
am with
dancing.
Tom.
No
I am
strong
on Team
feelings
Mosh.
On
Team
dancing. I don't like watching
dancing.
Strictly Come Dancing and that sort of.
I like it when
Very-
Len Goodman yells 7.
I don't like it when there are rules in dancing.
You like rules.
I like it when I can be in a.
You are a dancer of the street, where you can go outside and just
street
flail
dancer.
about. No, he's not a street dancer. He
I was
doesn't
gonna
have
say-
a street
What are they
I
called?
like
What are
watching
they
stuff
called?
like
The
tap
flash
dancing
mobs?
and
flash
yeah.
mobs.
Flash mobs.
Big fish, little
That's
bitch.
what those are
little-
called.
The one.
Did
The
you say
one.
Big fish, little bitch. Come
I
on.
did.
Big fish, little bitch. Cardboard box. Get in there.
That's just a threat. at this
Schrodinger's bitch.
point. Oh, is Schrodinger's a bitch just the plot to Pulp Fiction? Is he a bitch?
Oh damn. Well,
Oh,
I'm gonna take you guys back to the year of 1518.
Oh
So
God.
way back
that
in the
is a
opposite
long
direction.
time ago.
Not the Renaissance.
Damn right, I'm taking you to Renaissance.
Oh, I feel so Renaissance.
No, I'm too young to be Protestant.
And it just kicked off.
I do not mention I mentioned the Reformation. I am not talking about the Reformation today, however. But as point out with Protestantism and many other religions at the time, people weren't so keen on dancing. It was maybe it was too expressive out of God's eye, too much fun.
Tell that to the
and-
czars.
Well,
Oh god, I know what this is.
they were just having fun with their orthodoxy, you know? Like, you know, leave them to it. They've got their dancing, jigging on the spot, low down, hoop ha, crazy Russian dance.
You mean the
I don't know what it's
Cossack
called.
dance?
The Cossack dancing.
Yeah.
We're back in 1518. There was a very specific few months where people were really against dancing. But I'm going to give you some background information on where we're going to go, specifically to the city of Strasbourg, around mid-July in 1518. Strasbourg, beautiful old city. There, it's happened.
I know this place.
The one fuck up has happened.
I know. I'm not shut up.
I have no
Strasbourg-
memory of this place.
Strasbourg is a beautiful city located along the Rhine, and during this time was one of fell into kind of the same category as a lot of those free cities under the Holy Roman Empire. So nominally under the rule of the Kaiser or whatever their title was. but
Most
kind
of the von Habsburgs.
Most of the von Habsburgs.
Literally most of my knowledge for this comes from Europa Universalis.
Yeah.
So
I mean, odds are you pick a monarch, they're inbred.
Damn right, I love me a monarch sandwich.
I could count them all on 6 fingers.
Strasbourg has seen many a tragic incident. I'm going to just name a few. They went and murdered a bunch of bishops in the 1200s for an undisclosed reason, kicked them out,
Bishops.
self-governed for a bit, and then were reconquered. They were also a key point of interest during the Reformation. Like the HRE was just a mess.
were
for
they a
the Reformation.
bishopric in the 1200s?
Yeah, I think so.
And then they just became a free
certainly not-
city?
And then they kicked the bishops out.
Well,
Enough of
that's
this
what
shit.
happens.
I say kicked. They murdered the bishop.
Yes.
I'm assuming was not pretty. Yet none
Bishop
of the
Sultan.
events that happened were perhaps as weird as the dancing plague that took hold of the city for several months of 1518. That's right. We're talking
Oh,
dancing
yes.
plague, tarantella, jiggy.
I didn't mean to predict it when you said
I had a
what's your
feeling
favourite
you were
dance,
going
and
here.
I said Tarantella. I didn't mean to inherently predict it, I'm sorry.
So, on the morning of an average day in mid-July, local homeowner Frau Trofial, I don't know if I'm saying that right,
Probably not.
stepped silently into the street. After a few tentative steps, she began to twist and twirl and shake. Soon she was leaping and whooping across the streets. Her husband begged her to return inside, or at least eat and drink, yet she ignored it all.
Sorry, I just love the idea of whatever whooping across the street is.
Please, can someone demonstrate a whoop across the street?
So I was getting really into Lord of the Dance, like everyone just aggressively into it. It's like,
I love the idea that that was what they were humming.
that's all I can imagine it to be.
Why can I only imagine someone river stomping to Lord of the Dance?
Just aggressively stamping their feet down on the word dance.
Well, let's face it, it's either that or a Macarena.
A Macarena. Wait, I just imagined a Macarena to Lord of the Dance, which I don't think is what you meant.
No, oh god, can you imagine?
I am the Lord of the Dance.
This means
Anyway,
he
no
knows
one
the
can
steps.
see me.
Is it in
No,
four?
it's not.
Is it in 4 standard? You can do the Macarena. Good
Sure,
job.
the Macarena's in 4 standard. Well, come the end of the day, Frau Trofia collapsed exhausted to the floor, as would anybody who had been dancing extensively, and was returned
Yeah.
safely to her home. Everyone thought it was weird. I mean, I think it was pretty weird. I'm not quoting verbatim, but I'm assuming they thought it was weird. But they moved on. And
The
like,
town was quoted as saying,
That
pretty weird.
that shit cray.
that shit crazy, mate.
One of the peasants from the 1500s.
This local peasant reported it as, yeah, a bit weird.
That shit's cray.
However, come the next day, Frau Trofea was at it again. People watched her in confused, morbid horror as she danced her feet bloody. She kept up this solo dance-a-thon for nearly a week, each night collapsing and dancing, only to reawaken and dance some more the next day. It makes it sound like a vampire. She reawoke the next day to dance.
Oh god!
And on
It's
the
a vampire,
7th
it's Saturday
day-
Night Fever.
Saturday Night Fever with vampires. I'd watch that.
Yeah, I think that's a thing. Give me a minute.
It probably is. This continued with other people. I hesitate to say getting involved. Joining in? Shall we
Joining
say?
in, yeah.
Joining in with the mad dance craze that was sweeping the nation. This was the Harlem Shake, just on a deadlier level. Old school reference.
This is the modern day. This is the 1500s equivalent of TikTok, people.
Exactly. They were sashaying their way
Yeah.
across the streets, recorded in lengthily drawn pictures.
That's gonna be annoying to draw.
Be a
It's
nightmare to
constantly
draw
moving.
those pictures. Yeah.
I have to draw one frame of it each day.
Yeah.
By the end, you had a
Go
flip
along
book.
the same pattern.
You gotta make them do the same dance.
She probably did.
Probably. Well, it sounds like we'll get on to the style of dance. I mean, there's no style. But eventually,
There is no grace.
eventually, Proud for Fear was dragged off, either to die because she'd died, or to recover by being sent to a shrine somewhere in the French mountains.
Oubliette.
There were multiple.
You have to be important to be put in the oublet.
Yeah. But there were multiple theories on what happened to her. It is unrecorded. Nothing was heard from her again, so I'm assuming she died. But by that point, she was the least of their problems.
To be fair, I think most
A
Austrian
mystery
peasants are...
choreographer somewhere in this town.
Because to be fair, I think most Austrian peasants were never heard from again. Because I mean,
That's true, yeah.
I mean, like, who gives a shit about Tolus Bob? He's just there. No one wants
That's
to
a
talk to
very
him.
un-Austrian name. Tolus Bob.
What do you mean? Tolus is a very popular Austrian first name.
Ah,
Did you
Tolus, how
nearly
are
say
you doing?
promiscuous?
Tolus. Yeah.
Oh,
Make it sound like
but
he's from
no.
Sweden instead of Austria, but...
Doesn't matter.
But as I said, by that point, she was the least of their problems. More people were dancing. At least 36 had joined in the following week, and there were nearly 400 victims by August's start. So in about 2 weeks, 400 people were madly dancing continuously every day in the street, seemingly without prompting. There wasn't accompanying music yet.
Wonder how they kept them hydrated.
Well, by all accounts, they didn't.
Oh,
We're going to get to the solutions, or the theories and solutions. People were at a loss of what to do. There were a few theories, 3 main ones, which I'm going to cover, which were the most popular ones. Many people thought it was possession. 1500s, 16th century was a time of vast religious upheaval and superstition. Many accounts of obviously burning witches and all that shit, and
That's not also taking into account the Reformations.
that's not taking the Reformation's just made it worse. And many people saw the actions of the actions of like the various range of movements people were pulling off as a sign that it couldn't possibly be a human doing this. It had to be a demon inside them.
Boy, did they not know that some time down the line, 400 years later, we invented the mosh.
Its similarities were very similar to lots of other recorded cases of possession. Mainly a group of nuns. There's a record of essentially a bunch of nuns who were stuck in a nunnery, who, like, the head nun got possessed, and then all the other nuns got possessed, and they were just writhing and flailing and dancing around think Exorcist, but slightly less head turning.
That's just
in terms of all the way round.
I think they just had like a mad weekend.
Yeah,
a
Julie
3-day
Aubrey turned
bender.
up.
Wouldn't you have a mad
that was
weekend if you were
just a
stuck in a
nun
convent?
rave.
That was just Julie Aubrey turning up, that's all.
She popped down and burned the nunnery, and the reason they were flailing and dancing was they were on fire.
I thought she just spiked the bloody communion wine or
punch.
something. Yeah, it's like...
You spiked Jesus' blood!
Well, yeah, he's boring.
He needed to liven up a bit, you know.
Jesus is such a narc. I believe it, yeah.
Yeah, Richard was, seriously big thing. Most commoners believe... Now, I've written most commoners believe the devil was everywhere, but I misread that as overrated. Most commoners believe the devil was overrated.
The devil is overrated.
You, sir, what do you know about the devil? He's a fucking
I
nerd.
guess-
Thank you, sir.
I could picture that being on like a Christian conversion pamphlet or something.
The devil's overrated.
The devil's overrated. Stop being a Satanist today.
I was taking it the other way. I thought they were like, oh, the devil's fucking bitch. Here's some true, like, evil shit.
The Korean Jesus punching the devil.
Oh, that statue of like Jesus
The
breaking off the
ripped
arms
Jesus
of the cross.
breaking off the cross. Oh,
I don't think I've seen that.
it's great. It's
I'll find it.
It's so good. See if you find it, put in the
I will do.
in the thing. Another similar theory was that they had been cursed.
The fuck is this
those
in the
ridiculous-
Discord, John?
Yeah.
The fuck is
It's been there
this?
the whole time. It's been there the whole time.
I've only just looked. Holy shit.
Ripped. It's so good. We have to get a picture of ripped Jesus.
That's like Aztec gods
Yeah,
of
in the
fitness
video.
level of ripped.
I just like how he's so
That
angry.
is Jesus after CrossFit.
Hey. I see
Oh,
what you did there.
Oh, actually, that's weirdly appropriate. Doop ba doop ba doop doop
Oh, God.
doop 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 doop.
Do.
Oh,
God.
I love it. I love
Yeah.
it. That's so good. Yeah, so the other popular one was that they'd been cursed. There was a particular saint at the time called Saint Vitus or Saint Vitus. Vitus spelt Vitas. Who was responsible for what was happening. He was a saint who was known to have cursed people to endlessly dance in penance for past actions and personal sins. So presumably those believing this theory thought that Frau Trafir and all the other people dancing had been into some kinky shit.
That
Because
sounds
as we know,
completely.
dancing is blasphemous.
Nah, Matt, that sounds like a straw man. That seems completely unrelated.
Saint Vitus does reappear down the line.
Is he the Lord of the Dance?
He might as well be. It's very particular. Also, you don't hear of saints cursing people that often. Like that's kind
No,
of
it's
more
not.
of demon
Oh,
and devil
no.
prerogatives.
Oh no, he's the patron saint of actors, comedians, dancers, and epileptics.
Oh, what?
Oh no! That was not going so well until that last one. Oh, is that what this is? Just mass epilepsy?
Oh no.
That wasn't one of the theories, both old and modern. My personal favorite of the ones that the causes that they thought of, was come up with by the local physicians. It had been a
Physicians. These guys will have some sensible suggestions,
local
I bet.
physicians, the doctors of the times, and they had a really sensible idea, which actually kind of makes sense when you think about medicine at the time. It had been a very hot summer, so naturally they believed that the afflicted were suffering from boiling blood in the brain. And this had made them hysterical, and their limbs weren't in control because the brain was too hot, overheating like a computer.
I was gonna say, so they could basically put it down to really bad heat stroke.
Essentially, it's like, oh, you've got ghosts in your veins kind of thinking.
Look, I've had this pain in my left wrist for the past 2 days. I'm starting to think that may be the case.
You know when you get too hot and you start jiving? Yeah, it's that.
Oh,
I did not think you were going to say
Yeah,
jiving, good sir.
you bounce out the funky rumba beat.
Again,
Oh my God.
you're not helping what I thought Tom was going to say, Matt.
Oh, naturally, the physicians got together with the town council and the people governing and decided that the only suitable solution to the dance and gyration was to dance and gyrate the fever away. You must dance harder to solve this problem. Billy Talent ain't got nothing. Not Billy Talent. Who's the dancing?
Billy
Billy
Idol?
Elliot.
Billy Idol. My brain
Billy
went from
Elliot.
Billy Talent and then
Oh.
Billy Joel. Like, nope, wrong.
No, the third musician,
Elliot
Billy
is a
Idol,
Canadian
Matt.
punk band.
You just picked 3 musicians. It's Billy Elliot.
That
I think you're
dancing
looking
man.
for Billy Elliot, the ballerina boy.
That one. Thank you.
Yeah,
Is that his
This
full
is-
title?
Yep.
Yes.
The fetus is also said to protect against lightning strikes, animal attacks, and oversleeping. Why is the third one always a one?
Oh,
one
good.
out?
Three threats that are on the same scale.
I always
Look, in
concern
England,
lightning
they might
strikes
as
are
well be.
oversleeping. Does he stop you sleeping by striking you with lightning?
Yeah. You dance yourself awake. Ah, for fuck's sake! I can't get my alarm.
Is it his fault that cats wake you up in the morning?
Oh, might as well
God.
be. So this little next segment is called Solutions and Delusions.
Oh dear.
Same
So-
thing.
With the dancing solution in mind, all around Strasbourg, the mayor and town leaders set up stages in grain markets, guild halls, open squares. Anywhere they could build a stage or house dancers, they built a stage in them. Pipers, drummers, flutists, and all other manner of people who could play an instrument were brought in for backing tracks.
Flutist just
to
sound.
help them
Flutist
dance
doesn't
out.
sound like a real
I
word.
think it's flautist or flautist.
Flautist.
Flautist, I think.
I was
it's
gonna
called.
say flutist is definitely not a word.
Yeah, just to help kick out a funky
Yeah.
beat while they're at
I
it.
suppose with a backing track, it would be less creepy.
I mean,
Depending on
initially,
what the
I think
backing
it would
track
have
is,
just been. Initially, it sounds like it was just a bunch of people still madly dancing,
And,
just with music in the background.
and then
So-
by the end, it was that scene from the Scooby-Doo film.
It's just camouflage when like a bishop goes by. They're just like, yeah, no, everything's fine here. They're just dancing. So why is the floor red? They're just dancing. Go away.
But as Tom joked earlier, they brought in professional dancers and choreographers to try and get the afflicted to do a proper dance. They get some entertainment value, I guess.
Well, if they're gonna do it, they better do it right.
Pretty much.
Yeah. I
Um,
can just imagine an angry choreographer like yelling at someone for doing just no, it's 2-step. Come on, we've been through this.
So they taught them how to the correct moves to particular dances, including special healing dances, which presumably are like you get like crystals to cleanse
One
your
step
aura.
forward, 2 steps back.
I do feel like you're about to sell me some special healing powders, and probably a crystal that's supposed to go up somewhere in
alright.
particular.
Oh, John, I heard you've got sciatica. Allow me to dance away the pain. Which sounds like you're gonna gyrate up against them.
Thanks, Gwyneth Paltrow. I'm good.
Oh God.
Oh, yet despite their best efforts of their best minds, many dancers collapsed from exhaustion, heat stroke, normal strokes, heart attacks, with their feet bloodied in their shoes and clogs.
I don't like that you
Which-
went feet stroke, normal stroke, backstroke.
I
I don't
did it.
fucking know. They just died, dude.
Almost stroke.
Breaststroke. Some of them were swimming.
I just like that some of them were wearing clogs, so you must have just had. I love the idea that they had a separate stage for the clog wearers, and there was just some funky clog-based tap dancing.
Can you imagine how worried that'd be without the music? Because you can just, from the distance, just far away in town. You just enter the town. You can just hear like
Rumbling.
in the distance, just the hard
clogs
clacks
are-
of the cogs against the cobblestones. Like, the fuck is
I
that?
What is that in the night? Clogs against the cobblestones ringing loud.
Clogs in the deep. You're coming.
All the goblins in the mine of Moria have clogs on.
I won't put it past them.
Did you say they stopped dancing at night or something, or is it just literally because they all collapsed?
Pretty much, yeah. Or died. The town leaders eventually became disenfranchised with their solutions and decided that something slightly more extreme was required.
How
People were obviously having too much fun.
how
with the
long
amount
did
of
it take
dancing
for
and
them to
music.
come to that decision? Out of curiosity.
At least a few weeks. Obviously, people are having too much fun with the dancing and the music, so they banned all dancing and music and decided that intense prayer and sermons were the solution. So you can imagine having a bunch of people in clogs dancing in a church while you're trying to do a sermon.
That would be very distracting if you were the priest in charge.
I apologise, Father, but I have to break it down. No, I did.
He's breaking it
My
down
camera's
so hard
gone.
he's knocked his camera. Oh,
John, why? Why is Kermit here?
No reason.
oh,
He's Dutch. He's in the right region.
naturally.
Is that why he sounds like he does?
Naturally, this did not solve the issue. And there was, to put it mildly, no help. The dancers kept on at it, hopping and twirling and spasming aplenty. Come September, so they've been trying to solve this for, a month and a half, 2 months. 50, this is a great estimation. 50 to 400 people had perished, so either 50 or all of the original 400 had died.
Did one of the people? Did the only person in town who could count just not give it?
That is,
No, he
What
died.
happened
they were
Oh, yeah, fair
He
enough.
died from dancing.
they were part of it.
They were too busy dancing. But I love that stat.
Who needs counting when you can dance?
I love that stat because it's literally 50 or 400 of
No-
the original.
No work,
400.
none in
Such a
between.
wide margin.
It's a wide margin forever. Apparently, there were possibly upwards of 15 deaths a day. However, this is unverified. Are you chanting? Are you okay?
Yeah.
Right, they're-
Yeah, I'm fine. It's up for later.
Oh god.
It's a surprise too. Might help us later.
Okay, that's terrifying. At a loss of what to do, the leading clergyman and mayor and whatnot decided that it was best if they literally took everybody currently dancing, put them in some carts, and took them off to the shrine of Saint Vitus and just left them there, as opposed to in the city.
Not our problem anymore.
Pretty much, they have to take them like a couple hundred miles into France to the shrine.
I like. In my brain, they just left it. They just took them all and left them outside the local opera. These are yours now. We don't want them. They won't stop.
How are they transporting them? Is it just
Presumably
like
upright.
Is there some poor French peasant just sitting there as just a cart, like
Just
pretty much a cage on the back of a cart,
tongues.
with like 5 dancing men goes by? It's like I don't know. Circus
It's like
with
a
down.
unified
One
Macarena
top of
and
the
Charleston
cage,
dance in the carts. So they were taken to the
Burning
shrine.
under it.
Were taken to the shrine of Saint Vitus, where they were made to dance around the shrine. This wooden carving of him in blood red shoes.
Fancy.
In hopes that with the dancing and prayers that they would get absolution. The records don't say anything about whether they got absolution, but I doubt they ever danced again if they did.
Can I just question one part of that? Made to dance around the shrine.
Yes,
surely
They
that's the
were
opposite of the point is
dancing, but they were made to dance around it.
just point in the right direction. That'll be fine.
So, what actually happened is still up for debate. This did happen. This is well documented in a lot of sources. This actually happened, and there's several other cases of it happening, like in Italy and weirdly enough on Madagascar in like the 1800s, like 1840s.
King Julian at it again.
He liked to move it. Yeah, very, very well documented. Strasbourg wasn't the only inflicted city or town. There were, because weirdly enough, there were lots of towns and cities in Switzerland, Germany, and Holland that had it happen as well. Oddly enough, all these towns and cities bordered the Rhine River, so have a go at that, conspiracy theorists. No one seems to have linked this to a theory of what happened.
Fish people.
Fish people, naturally. None of these were as deadly as the 1518 Dancing Plague. So there are a couple of theories about modern day theories about what caused the plague. The one most people seem to go for was first professed by a historian named John Walker. He's done most of the writing works on the topics. He put it down to the worship of Saint Vitus, although I've written Saint Vincent here. Not the same. Don't know what he's the saint of, but I'm sure Saint Vincent exists.
I've heard of
St. Vincent's is a school, I think.
But with the constant war, famine, and general religious upheaval and shit, people were, as I say, incredibly religious, and
Oh,
you
A
found
musician.
yes.
yes. Who is Saint Vincent?
Known as Anne Erin Clark, American singer-songwriter.
Oh, there we go.
That's a lot less
Can
interesting
point out
than I
the
had
top result
hoped.
is
Not
Fear
not
the
as
Future
good as-
tour coming this fall.
I was going to say Vitus, but yeah, something he believes that because people are so religious and they believed, whatever the church is throwing at them, especially in Middle Europe, and that God's divine judgment and wrath and his fellow saints were going to smite you down. He believes that something happened to spark a perceived granting of his curse on select people. And these possibly some of like those most vulnerable to it. So, John, why the fuck are you knifing your hand?
Splinters. Carry on.
Okay. Something happened to spark this perceived curse, and thus those people most vulnerable or most under. I was gonna say under his influence, which makes it sound
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Susceptible.
Susceptible to
The most
to
perceptible.
it.
The more we yell at you, the more you will get it right.
Thank you. Yes, I learned through yelling. What the people who started doing the dancing and whatnot. And this is believed to be one of the earliest recorded cases of the mass hysteria effect. Mass hysteria, I don't know if it's confirmed as a legit thing, but there's a lot of reported cases of it happening. A lot of the time you'll have it with UFO sightings. Like there's one where like a school, all of the school playground children saw a UFO and and the teachers, and they thought it was mass hysteria. There's one where a bunch of people in an operating theatre were operating on someone, and then they thought they'd been hit by gas and their skin was burning, but it wasn't. It was all like psychosomatic. Like it's happened, but it's like no one can really confirm how it happens.
Yeah. Mass
It's
hysteria.
hard to document because a lot of it is based on hearsay of the people
Well, it's not
involved.
necessarily hard to document. It's hard to.
Not document,
No,
that's
I'm currently looking at the
Science.
Wikipedia page for the cases of mass hysteria. There's a lot here.
There are a lot of cases, but it's
Mass
hard.
hysteria, mass psychosis is a pain in the ass because it's one of those things that it's hard to prove actually what is going on.
Yeah,
really.
they don't.
So
It's not that it's not happened. It's just like we don't know how it's happening.
Yeah.
Yes, this effect has happened to several people. We do not know
Yeah.
what has caused it.
I'm sorry, I'm just looking
Is
through.
the-
I'm scrolling through this list. What the hell is the Tanganyika laughter epidemic?
Tanganyika.
Yeah.
Oh my god, there was an epidemic of laughter around Lake
There was.
Tanganyika. Oh my god. Was it at Spicer Simpson when he turned up?
No, it was at 62. So
I've heard of that.
it was in 1962.
What
Sounds like a bit of Joker gas going around.
save the list of mass hysteria events till the end, because we're coming towards the end of this one, and we'll do some listing of other interesting.
I can read some good ones off.
We'll
So
read some out at the end. So the mass hysteria idea is the commonly, or at least I think, is the most accepted theory. It is also the most boring, in my opinion. Let's talk a bit about religious cults and drugs. So, on the religious cult front, just because religion was very popular doesn't mean there weren't heretics and stuff like that, and people who are really, really into it. So this leans a bit away from the mass hysteria and pulls back on the possession aspect. And the theory is that a cult of worshippers who were plagued by essentially just had been through a lot of shit, initiated kind of like almost like induced psychosis in themselves rather than on the grand scale. And when you talk about cults and whatnot, it's like the idea being that they could go in and out of the the psychosis or the mindset where when people like eyes roll up and they have a seizure kind of thing, what you see in cults.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The spirit is possessing me. Jesus is in me, that kind of thing.
Except it's not normally Jesus.
It's not normally Jesus, but the theory is kind of like that the people in the cult would do this and start dancing, and so no more and more people in the cult would do this, and apparently they all just did that in Strasbourg for a bit, and couldn't break themselves out of it. It's naturally other people thought it's like naturally they let demons into themselves, that kind of thing. However, this doesn't hold
The
up
old
quite
dancing
as well.
demons.
Oh, the old demons. This doesn't hold up quite as well. There's not too much on it, but it was a nice little snippet. The other big one, my favorite one, is the theory that magic mushrooms were responsible. More specifically, the fungus ergot, which I don't know if you guys have heard of it.
Yeah.
I've heard of it because I've heard of the dancing plague before. So.
Yeah. So, ergot is a toxic and psychoactive chemical present in various types of fungi. The specific type thought to cause most of it flourishes in damp rye grain that was commonly used to make bread at the time. There have been many cases where ergot is thought to have caused mass delusions and movement. Lots of like other little scenarios of dancing things, odd events in France in general. Also, apparently Salem. That's thought that ergot poisoning played a role in that.
The witch trials are on
The
this
witch
list.
trials.
So.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because obviously there was a lot of people saying, "Oh, I saw a cat turn into a dog and back again," or whatever the fuck.
Ergot itself is structurally related to one of the CIA's favorite medicines, lysogenic acid defibrillide, known as LSD-25.
Oh, just you wait, boys. I'm going to do an MK Ultra episode. This could be fun, but not die.
MK Ultra.
What is even better is this LSD was actually synthesized from ergot.
Yeah.
So ergot is the original LSD. And so basically people were thinking that these people were obviously seeing shit and their mind was not in the right space, and there was like...
They're just having one massive trip, baby.
Basically. And it makes sense that it wasn't like... It was obviously... Like, nobody did the recording, but I if it was the case of it as ergot, maybe all these people went to the same baker, that kind of thing. People have kind of strayed away from it because it doesn't always cause like weird movements of the bodies and stuff like that, and it shouldn't last as long as it did. Like it shouldn't make you trip for a week.
Yeah,
that's some serious shit if it does. But
or 2 months.
I like that because it's slightly more interesting than the mass hysteria. But whatever the case, it never happened again in Strasbourg. It was a one-off, one only. You missed it. Tough shit. I'll just say, I'll leave you on next time that when you get the urge to jig and dance, just make sure that it's not the lethal kind.
Make sure it's not contagious.
Make sure it's not contagious, and if it is, get your clogs on and scare the shit out of those near you.
Your fancy red clogs.
Get your blood red clogs out for the slaying,
They'll be red
boys.
soon, because your feet will bleed.
It's a great image that they're just like trying to do this wearing Prada.
Oh, God.
Oh, Tom, why don't you round that off with some of your personal favourites from that list?
So on this list, like obviously as Matt has mentioned, the Salem witch trials are on here. They're split up into years, and like the first one is just like Middle Ages, where the first one listed on here, it says in 1784, a nun who lived in a German convent in the 1400s began to bite her companions.
In 1784, in the 14th century.
A nun who lived in a German that's what it says. Oh, written by an author in 1784.
Right. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, that's the. I think that was the nun thing I was referring to in there.
Yeah,
where like there was this whole thing that she was possessed and like
she used
it spread
to bite
to other people when she bit.
But
yeah,
it's
very
familiar to things that happen in like Verdun and the original African kind of religion helped spawn it, where people do kind of take possession of themselves of particular spirits, and people actively do hurt themselves in these roles because they get so into the bloody role that they fully 100% believe it that they will bite chunks out of themselves so you don't stop them.
I was say we've got some other examples. In 1749 in Würzburg, which I don't know.
Würzburg.
Yeah, it says there was
Hand up to Würzburg.
It says there was an outbreak of screaming, squirming, and trance.
Oh my God. You wake up one day and it's not the roosters, it's just people screaming.
Like,
You're walking around, people are walking around screaming at you. Oh,
God.
that's
and
amazing.
people being in a trance in a nunnery, apparently.
It's always nuns.
Don't ask. What else have we got on here?
Oh,
No, Spring-Heeled
throw
Jack.
Something.
Yeah.
Yeah, Spring-Heeled Jack was thought to be an illusion.
As is the other big one on this list further down, which was the War of the Worlds radio broadcast.
Yes.
Where people, they
yeah.
put that on and people legit thought it was real.
See, I would argue that that
Mass
doesn't fall
hysteria.
into the same category as
Yeah.
mass hysteria, because yes,
No,
it was
'cause-
mass hysteria, but it done in such a method where, of course, people might think it was.
Yeah, they had a little thing
thing.
at the beginning saying this isn't real, but
But
then
a lot
if
of
you
people
tuned
missed
into it,
it.
if
Yeah,
you tuned
a lot of
into it
people
midway
missed it.
through, it sounded like a real. They made
Yeah.
it sound as real as
And
possible.
because it was
Yeah.
written as though it was
What the
a
hell?
news
Yeah.
broadcast.
What the hell is the Seattle windshield pitting epidemic?
What?
The Seattle
is.
windshield pitting epidemic.
Windshield
Uh,
pitting.
By widespread
yeah.
widespread observation of previously unnoticed windshield holes, pits, and dings, leading residents to believe that a common causative agent was at work.
Huh.
I don't know.
So basically, everyone just started seeing bloody pitting and stuff
Yeah, it's
in,
everywhere.
and like people saw glass bubbles form right before their eyes, and it's oh, what's that one? The Great Fear. The Mad
Yeah.
Gas of Bassoon. I heard.
Also,
Yeah.
since you asked, Matt, I have got the Tanganyika laughter epidemic
Yes.
as well.
Let's hear
That
about the Tanganyika Lantern.
that's
Tanganyika
interesting.
laugh
Yeah.
epidemic began on January 30th, 1962, in a mission-run boarding school for girls in Kashasha, Kashasha,
Yes, that.
somewhere in Tanzania. The laughter started with 3 girls and spread haphazardly throughout the school, affecting 95 of the 159 students aged between 12 and 18.
Can you imagine being one of the unaffected and just hearing laughter coming at you down
Sim-
the hall?
Symptoms lasted from a few hours to 16 days.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
Their laughter haunts my dreams.
Oh shit! The teaching staff were not affected, but reported that students were unable to concentrate on their lessons, and the school was forced to close down in March 18th, 1962.
Closed the school.
At least temporarily. Yeah, no, it said reopened again.
Okay.
But yeah.
Oh, wow.
Laughter reports were widely accompanied by descriptions of fainting, flatulence, respiratory problems, rashes, crying, and screaming.
I mean, if you've not been there where you've laughed so hard you nearly died, then
I mean,
no,
I'm
everyone has.
pretty sure I fractured a rib from laughing.
Mm.
Well, that is it for this week. Facts have been uttered, lies have been stated. John.
No.
Or what is it, plugs before John?
It is plugs for John. Do it, you fools! You're the only ones who've got
Phrase,
anything
just-
here.
well, I have a Twitter account. You can find, excuse me, as I get caught up in my own wind. You can find me on Twitter at Gaius_Nix. That's Guias. You can also find me on Twitch under the same handle, and if you search that in YouTube, you can find me there as well. However, there are links in the description, and there will be on the end card.
I have a Twitter, which is at randomjot, and a YouTube channel, which is Tom H. Jordan. And I also have a Facebook page called Random Jot Comics, where you can read the comics that I've made.
Me and John are nowhere to be found. Don't look.
And places.
Mystery Men.
Mystery Man.
From the
The
7th
Scooby-Doo
dimension.
gang have been hunting us for so long. With one mystery they couldn't solve. The mystery of man.
Just makes me think of that meme that Scrappy Doo has been found dead in Miami, but just like the end.
Oh, John, do you want to take it out?
Yes. All right. Okay, here we go. Here's a fun fact. There's a Native American lake named Chagogagog Manchowgagog Chowbunau Gungamaug. Boom, in one. This is located in the town of Webster, Massachusetts. The name means you fish on your side, I fish on my side, and no one fishes in the middle.
Can you type that in the Discord so I can put like a subtitle on for everyone?
Oh wow.
What of the actual thing I read out?
They set the ban.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will do.
Amazing. Oh.
That was hard. Like,
I'm impressed.
Have you seen?
Oh god, it's like that Welsh name.
Ah!
It's like that bloody Welsh name. Oh well, thank you very much for that, John.
Goodbye.